everyone, it's Vicky here, and today's recipe we're going to do some scones. Now scones are, everybody enjoys scones. You love an afternoon tea, you always get scones in an afternoon tea, but actually they are quite difficult to make and make them well. So I'm going to share some top tips with you to make the perfect scones. And before we start, there are 3 golden rules when making scones. Number 1, bear in mind that the dough that you make is quite wet, okay, and that's where a lot of people make a mistake, because they think it's too wet and they add more flour, and then you get very dry scones, which are not very nice. So that's the first thing. Number 2, you must not overwork that dough. You must touch it as little as possible to get the nice light scones. And number 3 is all to do with how you cut the scones out. But we'll talk about that a bit more when we get to that stage. So we'll just get ready to make the scones. First things first, get your oven lit, because it's good to have your oven, you need a nice hot oven. So it's gas mark 7, that's 220 electric or 200 fan. So preheat your oven ready, and the next thing to do is prepare your baking tray. So I'm using this is actually like a shallow sort of bar pan type tray, or if you've got an even shallower, just a baking sheet, that's fine. And you need to prepare this by greasing it, and I've already done this one, but just to show you what I did, all I did was get some butter and just spread it across the tin so that it's well greased. Now the ingredients. So we need 8 ounces of self-raising flour, which I've got in this bowl. Now you can sieve it, but I can never be bothered sieving flour. So what I do, just to make it, aerate it a bit, I pop it in the bowl and I get the whisk and I just whisk it a bit, just to get a bit of air into there. And that's all you need to do. You don't need to worry about faffing about with sieves and all that nonsense. That's what I do. There you go. And into that, I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. Now this is baking powder. That is not the same as bicarbonate of soda. It's baking powder, because baking powder also has cream of tartar added to it. So so you need to use that, not bicarbonate. I'm going to mix that in. Okay. And the next ingredient is some butter. And I always use butter when it comes to baking. I don't skimp on that. You can, if you prefer to use margarine, you can, but I just think butter gives a much nicer flavour to your baking. An ounce and a half of butter is going in here, and then I'm going to rub it in. Okay, so using the fingertips, I'm just going to rub in the butter into the flour. And again, you don't want to get this too hot. It needs to be kept quite cool. So she's doing it next to the Arga, but never mind, it'll be fine. So we're getting lots of air into this, lifting the flour well clear of the bowl, and just rubbing the butter across my fingertips to rub in the butter into the flour until it looks like fine breadcrumbs. Okay, and it's got a slightly yellow colour as well from the butter. Can you see that? If you're not sure if it's done, give it a shake and some of the big bits will come to the top. And then there you go, that looks fine to me. Okay, this is how you make pastry, by rubbing in the fat with your fingertips. Just an ounce and a half of, there you go. And then I've got an ounce of caster sugar. I'm going to put that in, give that a mix. Okay, that's all mixed in, and I'm going to make fruit scones with this one. So I've got some sultanas here. You can make plain scones, you can make savoury scones, perhaps you can use a bit of grated cheese or some herbs in there, but I quite like fruit scones. I'm going to put some sultanas in and mix them well in. Okay,